Hello, my name is Shinji, and today we're gonna do a little mod on the GameCube controller. What it's gonna be about is a loose stick repair. So what it does is we're gonna restore this stick here, the C stick, back to tight responsiveness, if that makes sense. So if you look over here, you can kind of see without a little force it wobbles. Now if I switch over to camera number 2, you can see a lot better what I mean. Like, it's very strange. Okay. Yep, see what I mean? Without a little force. So, to fix that, the first thing you're gonna need is super glue. And you're gonna need some sandpaper. I recommend getting 2000 grit sandpaper and 3000 grit sandpaper. Next thing you're going to need is a tri-ring screwdriver and a small flathead or Phillips head, a very small Phillips head, like 000 Phillips head or a 2.0 flathead. No, 1.5 flathead. So that's what you're going to need to start off with. So first things first, unscrew the controller. I've already done so just to save on time. So remove the faceplate shell. Now we're gonna grab a Phillips head bit and gonna unscrew the screws that hold onto the stick box. Now check to see if both cameras can get a good view on this. Have this one focus on that. Okay. Now there we go. As you can see, there's a little black brackets holding the stick box together. So what you want to do is just pry them open. Don't worry about breaking them. Just be gentle with it, but at the same time be forceful. Now this we can just throw away. I'm gonna put in my pants. And I'm going to change this head to a flat head because it's easier to pry open this way. Just to show, there's going to be little holes here. There's a hole here, and there's a hole here. With this camera you can't really see it, but with the next one you can. There's going to be a hole here and a hole there. So what you want to do is put in your flathead and pry it up. Same thing with the other. And eventually, it'll just pop out. Like so. There you go. So now, what we want to focus on is this piece here. The main stick. This thing here. So what you want to do is add a little bit of super glue to these sides here, to these little nubs that stick out at the sides. You want to add a little bit of super glue to this side here and this side here. First thing I'm gonna do is clean out the stick a little bit because it is a little bit dirty. And now we're gonna take out our super glue. And I forgot to mention this. Not only do you need the appropriate sandpaper, 2K and 3K grit, which is 2000, 3000 grit. Not only do you need super glue and appropriate screwdrivers, you also need a little piece of paper clip or anything small and thin that you don't care if any super glue gets onto it. So what I did is I grabbed a paper clip, cut a little piece of it out, and I got this. And what this is gonna be is to me to pour the super glue onto, and that way I apply it to the sides of the stick box. Now I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. Gonna sneeze. Gonna apply the super glue over here and over there, like so. Now I'm gonna go over here. Now it would be smarter to get a little piece of paper that you don't care about as well, and have it be all applied here. So I'm gonna grab my drawer and see what I can find. If I had some sticky notes, and we can use that. Now the first things first, apply the super glue onto the sticky paper, sticky note, whatever you call it. Now the super glue bottle here has been heavily used, so it's really annoying to get the glue out. Next, you're gonna get your whatever tool you made that you don't care if super glue gets onto. In my case, it's the Paperclip. I'm gonna move this sticky note closer to camera 2 so both cameras can see it. I don't think camera 2 can fully see it. Okay, it can kind of get a little bit of the goop there of the super glue. So take a little dab on it. Head over to the stick and just apply a little bit. Just enough. You don't want too much because you'll see in a minute. But yeah, I forgot that they dry out pretty quickly. So regardless, now what we're gonna do is put it back together. Now, to put it back together, there's gonna be a little dent. No, not a dent. A little cutout to where there's a third leg on the stick over here. Right there in the middle. That's where the cutout's gonna be. Show it to camera number 1. Camera number 1 doesn't seem to be picking it up quite as well. So in post, I'm just gonna use camera 2. So yeah. Now, if we show it to the stick box, notice how there's a cutout for pull cut on what's it called? The third leg. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to calling it the third leg. Yeah, just gonna insert it there. Now what the immediate thing you're gonna notice is that it's a bit more difficult to reattach, and that's because of the super glue adding a little bit of width. Yeah, that's the right word, width to the pole. And that's gonna affect the sensitivity to the controller as a whole, but it's only gonna affect the up and down directions, not left and right. Now we put it back. Put it back to the potentiometers. I don't know how to call it, how to say it. You know, English is a very strange language, but we're just gonna keep rolling with it. Now we're gonna put it back to the shell. I'm gonna take out the Z button because we don't really need it right now. Only need it when putting back the controller. Now I'm gonna use Alright, that's a bit annoying. Okay, now we're gonna close this bottle because we don't need it anymore. We just needed to apply like one dose, and if we sand too much, then we apply it again. And now, if we try to tighten the shells together, just so we can mimic the feeling of it being screwed down, and then try to move the C-stick, go over to camera number 2 here. Try to use a little bit of force, and it's not budging an inch, which is what we want. Go to camera number 1 here. Do the same thing. Notice how I'm moving my finger slightly, and the C6 doesn't seem to be moving at all. That's what we want. So now, if we go left and right, it's fairly quick, but you'll kind of notice that if you apply too much, it'll feel slower on the up and down angles. Now since this is just a C-stick, it doesn't really matter too much unless like you use it for tilts. And if like you're a Ryu player or something, or Cloud, Maybe that would matter to you. I think this is fine, but I'm gonna adjust it anyway because I'm here to give you guys the full tutorial on how to do this. Plus, you're probably gonna need to do this on your control stick because you care about that much more than your wobbly C stick. So, put away the front shell, take off the cap again. But yeah, if this C stick were a control stick, like if I put it to my control stick, I would probably want that to be fixed because up and down movements definitely feel slower. So what you want to do is open it up again. There we go. And now we remove the prongs and everything along with it. Now initially what you want to do is take out your 2000 grit sandpaper and just buff down the super glue a little bit, but not too much, because if you do it too much, you remove the super glue completely and you're going to need to do the process all over again. But I think I'm in a comfortable position where I can just use only the 3000 grit sandpaper and I should be fine. So let's position it here. That'll be fine. So you grab this, grab it to the side to where you apply the super glue, and just gently rub it. Rub it in most directions, except for the top directions to where that notch is, where you apply the cap. If you see this notch here on camera number 2, that top notch there. Yeah, you just avoid that side and just sand off everything else. Just a little bit. Do the same thing to the other side. It might help as well if you were to wet sand it, but I have yet to do that. And I don't have water right now because I'm not thirsty and I'm too lazy to get water from the bathroom, so. Okay. I think that's a little good enough sanding. So now what we're gonna do is put it back together. You see these hooks here? There's a little hook here. Let me use the... Yeah, there's a little hook here. You want that to correspond with a little nudge that's on the stick box. There's gonna be one here. You're gonna see it in person. It's kind of difficult to see in the camera. Had a burp. Okay. Oh yeah, there's yeah, you can see it here. There's a little notch there. You're gonna make sure that corresponds to that notch. Okay. Put it back together. And there we go. The controllers started back together. Now what we're gonna do is test the up and down inputs. Now left and right, up and down. Now with this C-stick, I've adjusted the spring so that it's a lot looser. You can't tell on the camera, but if you were to feel the controller, you would be able to tell an immediate difference between the control stick and the C-stick. But if I were to move it slowly, you can tell like the difference in smoothness between the two. Between the two directions of left and right and up and down. And for some reason I'm sneezing, I don't know, maybe I'm getting sick. No idea. But I think at this point it's indistinguishable. Now if we press everything together, it doesn't move that much. You can hardly see it move, but up and down is moving quite a bit. Maybe I gotta apply some super glue to that, but I don't really care. But that's generally the process. So to recap, what you gotta do is first get the appropriate screwdrivers, take apart the controller, get a small piece of a paper clip or something, you know, anything where it's thin enough for you to apply super glue onto the pole of the stick box, and just apply a very tiny amount of super glue towards the sides of the pole, and put the stick box back together, and see if it, if the up and down directions are a lot tighter or like a lot slower than the left and right inputs. And if it is, just sand it down with very small rubs, the 2000 grit sandpaper, and then finish it off with the 3000 grit sandpaper and test it again. If it's a lot smoother, then maybe you want to stick with that. If not, if you prefer it to be a little bit smoother, just keep sanding it down with the 3000 grit sandpaper until you get the desired result. Put it back together, and you should just get a controller where, to the point that it doesn't move, it's not as loose, like it doesn't wobble that much, and it'll just feel like brand new. So that's pretty much it.